Maybe I'm not the most pleasant man, I'll admit it, but I'm proud of you lot. You're my family, the men who helped me slaughter the Starks at the Red Wedding. Yes, yes, cheer. Brave men, all of you, butchered a woman pregnant with her babe. Cut the throat of a mother of 5. Slaughtered your guests after inviting them into your home. But you didn't slaughter every one of the Starks. No. That was your mistake. You should have ripped them all out, root and stem. Leave one wolf alive, and the sheep are never safe.
When people ask you what happened here, tell them the North remembers. Tell them winter came for House Frey.
We are the Watchers on the Couch. We are the voices that guide the realms of men. We are the Night's Watch. Welcome back. I am your host, Kal the Kingslayer, and alongside me, as always, I have Lord Tom and Lady Kimber of House Odd Shape Channel. Hello, all.
Hey, everyone. It's an honor to be here, as always.
So, what a wait it's been, and we finally got new Game of Thrones. Season 7 finally kicked off, and we had a great episode, I thought. Just your overall thoughts before we get into it. What do you guys think?
Oh, it was definitely like a glorious return. I think everyone was saying that scene itself was glorious. I thought the whole episode, I didn't have a problem, I don't think, with one thing.
Yeah, no, I was pretty pleased about the whole thing myself.
It fixed a lot of things for me.
Yeah, Arya.
Not just that, a lot of things. There was a confirmed time jump because they used age. We'll get into it, but there was a lot of things they did right.
So before we get into everything, I just want to get some stuff out of the way that I kind of missed out last week because I was so excited to announce the prizes and all that. But I want to get our social media in first and also mention the raffle right away because it's going to be ending next week and we'll be announcing a winner next week. But let's get into the social media first. So if you guys want to kick it off with your social media, here we go. It's up on the screen.
It's all there.
I think he wants you to tell
your
social media.
Read it for everybody. You can see right there that the content page says oddshapechannel.com. There you can find everything. That's Odd Shape Channel, not just this show, but everything. But in regards to this show, you can tweet to and talk more Game of Thrones to Kal, and we'll definitely jump in. A lot of us like to talk on Twitter. You can see everyone else's Twitter who are mainly involved with this show right there.
Great job.
This was dropped on me. I'm not the host.
Sorry. All right. The title card, we got to thank Janine for, as always, at Janine DeBean. She's been great with the title card. And my cousin for doing the theme song at Streeps Music. So check that out. So the whole thing about the raffle, you got the Knights box going. And you got basically to win it, or at least to enter it, you got to follow all of us on social media. So you have all our Twitter's there at Night's Watch Blab, at Viren Deja Vu for me, for Tom at Odd Shape Panel, and Kimber at KimberBatch_OSP. Then also subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if you're here, you're probably already subscribed to Odd Shape Channel. But if you're not, go to I think Tom's Twitter, and it should be a link in his profile there. And then for my Kingslayer YouTube channel. Check that out at Virgin Deja Vu or at Night's Watch Tube, and go to the profile and click on that, and then retweet that tweet. So if you go to my go to Night's Watch Tube Twitter right now, you'll see a pinned profile, a pinned tweet, sorry, and that's the one that you got to retweet. So like, favorite it, all that stuff, and retweet it. And all the instructions are there on how to enter. And then, as you guys know, the raffle includes the Night's Watch shirt designed by Janine, 2 Funko Pops, a Jon Snow and Ghost, and the Funko Legacy Brienne of Tarth that was donated by House Odd Shape Channel, Tom and Kimber. So we're going to end it next week. So the winner will be announced live here on next week's episode of the Night's Watch. So get ready for that. So we actually have a new segment that we're going to announce. We're starting today. It's called Take the Black. So as you guys know, Janine designed a shirt for us at G9 Designs, and it's available through, if you go to my Twitter, I'm pretty sure it's on Janine's Twitter somewhere too, and Night's Watch Twitter, as well as the Virgin Deja Vu Twitter. If you buy this shirt and send a picture of us, send a picture of you to us wearing the shirt, you'll be featured in the Take the Black segment. So do you dare to take the black? Some people already have. So this week's first inductee into the Night's Watch that has taken the black is my friend Danny, who's one of the first people to buy it. Oh crap, the picture is diagonal. I don't know why it came out like that, but I'm gonna show it anyway. Probably should check this out. But it's my friend Danny. He's bought the Night's Watch shirt, so he's taking the black. And next week, one of your very own you'll probably see on this. So get ready for that. But we'd like to thank Danny for buying the shirt and supporting the Night's Watch. One more thing that we've always asked you guys to do is if you have any fan art or cosplays, send it to an email or tweet it at us, and we'll put it on the show. So one of my friends, Heather, she's actually submitted a few of them, and I'm going to just show you one today. And okay, it's the right way. And she actually did an awesome egret. So there's egret that she did. And she submitted a few of them, and throughout each week you'll see all the fan art that she's done. So thank you for that, Heather. She's not on Twitter or anything, but I would promote her. But that's all she does is just send me things like this. So it's pretty cool. Thank you, Heather. All right, so before we get into the episode, a lot of people threw Game of Thrones parties. I know Janine threw one, I threw one, and I know you guys were there for my last year's finale party. It was kind of sad not to have you guys this year, but you guys were there in spirit because we did mention I gave out business cards. I mentioned Odd Shape Channel. I mentioned your guys' Twitters and everything, so it was really cool. But we did have trivia again this year, and I guess it was good that you guys weren't there because it gave other people chances to win. Because you probably would. I went over some trivia earlier with Tom before we got started, and he blew it away right away. And I'm sure Kimber has the same effect as well. They probably have been them two in the finals. But the way the trivia worked was we had the first round was Quoth the Three-Eyed Raven, where everyone was able to participate, and I had quotes from the show, and then the top 5 people moved on, and it was the Battle of the 5 Kings or Queens. And we had, I think, 3 guys and 2 girls move on. And then we had the top 2 move on to the trial by combat. And we actually had a tiebreaker between our 2 ladies, Vicky and Jen, for the 3rd place prize, which was a Queen Cersei Funko Pop. And Vicky ended up winning that. So went to the final trial by combat. It was just a lot like fan friction, where I gave 3 questions, so one at a time. You gave out an answer, you had 30 seconds to defend it, and then a 15-second rebuttal after the other person gave their answer. And it came down to Ken and Angelo. And if we look here's the end picture of the night where everyone participated. We actually had Ghost there at the party as well. And first place, congratulations, went to Ken. He won the Game of Thrones Monopoly. He's holding up above his head. To the right of the picture, to the right of my cousin that you saw a few weeks ago on Odd Shape Channel, or Odd Shape Panel episode, actually, I should say, was Angelo with the glasses. He won 2nd place, so he won a Night's Watch t-shirt that I'll get for him. And then Vicky's in the yellow. She won the Queen Cersei Funko Pop. So it's fun. You know, we all enjoyed the episode. We tasted the Game of Thrones ale as well, and we enjoyed it. And now I guess we'll get into the episode. And you guys saw the promo that Tom put together for Night's Watch. It was great. Talk about what you saw in the first scene. How'd you feel? Because we had a cold opening, right?
Look, I think me and Kimber were talking about we were going to do the shame bell. And we were talking about, like, we should ring the shame bell for us because we gave Arya such a hard time last season. And I thought this was not only a great way to open the show back up, but just to kind of, like, give us a solid direction Arya's going in. It was not only do we get to see her doing stuff, but we got, you know, we have the destination she has in mind, at least for right now. So I think they did a lot of good things. It wasn't stretched out. It was more of a condensed thing. But this scene, man, like right away, Walder Frey was there, and Kimber was like, flashback? And I'm like, no, like.
Yeah, and his performance was excellent. Yeah. Like the subtle differences he had to portray that it's Arya underneath the face. The only thing I was kind of sad about is because it just like drove in the stake a little deeper that we definitely won't be seeing Stoneheart, because this was very Lady Stoneheart feeling to me. But other than that, I enjoyed this a lot, and it made me excited about Arya again, which I have not been in like a while. So I thought it was a good way to start off the show, and nice to see like a cold open before the intro.
Yeah, Eric made a good point in the chat. He also said it might have been a brand thing at first too, because maybe he's there seeing the Red Wedding or something like that. But I'm glad they didn't stretch that out. I don't know. I thought the scene was great. And I love the little, like when the new wife or daughter, I don't know anymore, went to go drink the wine, and he's like, not you, like, and it was still in character.
Not wasting good wine on a woman.
Yeah, but still saved her life. But I mean, she needed her to carry a message out. But I mean, I know you like to break things down a little bit more.
No, you know, yeah, I was gonna say that, like, we rarely get cold openings in Game of Thrones. Like, we've had them sporadically through the seasons, and I remember Kimber even saying like one of her favorite openings was the how they melted ice down. Like, it was like, it really hurt her like to see that, but it was like cool to see. And like, that was one of the cold openings we had, besides the, you know, another one with Bran, I think, a while back, and the Hound one, which was great too, I thought. But yeah, we did have a cold opening, and like, they've always been great. I don't think I've had a complaint about any of the cold openings we ever had, especially how the show starts in the first place, right? With the pilot, how we have the Night's Watch going in to the north and finding a wildling camp, but they're dead, and introduce the White Walkers and stuff. That was pretty cool too. But yeah, so we go into and we see the banquet, and right away, like, everyone at the party is like, oh, this is Arya in disguise, and, you know, I guess, you know, it's pretty obvious, but you never know, because Game of Thrones, it could be, like you said, like a brand, like, or Eric said, like a brand flashback, seeing what was going on. And then you see, like, everyone's mentioning that, like, everyone here is just the most important phrase we have. And all the men. And, like, I guess another thing you guys are saying that it's probably because they need someone to tell the story to, but maybe she just saw her as an innocent. You know, she was kind of, like, used by the Frey, like, you know, marrying your own daughter or whatever it was, however that relation is, kind of thing, daughter, wife. Like, she's kind of an innocent there. And maybe Arya doesn't see the as much as like black and white now, and we'll see that a little bit later too in the scene with Arya later.
Yeah, there were other handmaidens that were still alive too.
Right, so yeah, they could have
probably more.
Yeah, and I like
it could be both.
Yeah, I like that Kimber mentioned that this might be the end of you know, seeing Stoneheart. You know, because every season since we started this show, like, we've been saying, will we see Stoneheart? Will we see Stoneheart? But I don't know. You know, we see like I think one of you guys mentioned like a few seasons ago on this show was like, Arya's kind of becoming, or what some characters are becoming, like an amalgamation of certain characters, and Stoneheart was one of the characters you mentioned her becoming. So she is taking on that persona in a way. So I mean, here you see her walking away with a smile on her face, and you know, it was cool. Like, last week we all three rang the shame bell for her at the end of the episode. So boy, how it changed. Like, you know, the tides are turning quickly in 1 week. It's gonna be interesting to see who our shame bell and our champion is this week, but it's quite the change.
I think it says a lot about, because we can't like blame the showrunners for everything. Yes, they pick who's in charge of the director and all like that, but the director is ultimately the one who makes decisions on the day everything gets filmed. And the director who did the whole chase scene and everything, Jason Bourne style, like, he did that, and that was one of the things that hurt us the most. And I think all of the technical aspects of this episode were solid. And especially the editors. Somebody was writing an article, right? And they were saying, like...
Yeah, like the winners and the losers of the episode. And they said...
the editors...
There is one thing that wasn't addressed, and Eric is talking about it in the chat here. Did she free Edmure, who is the Lord of Riverrun? Like, he was imprisoned with the Freys, correct? What happened with him?
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, did she? Because like, you know, people are saying that for her to learn his mannerism and stuff, she's probably been there for a while, like posing as a handmaiden or something like that. So she had to have known that Edmure Tully is locked because, you know, one of the handmaidens are probably serving him the food, right? So they will probably talk amongst themselves. So she has to know. It'll be interesting to see if she released him and sent him back to River Run, and who's gonna, like, how easy. It's, I guess the Tully men are still holding the castle, right? I don't know if the phrase took it back over or not, but you know, I that could be another ally for John, or I guess it would be John's ally, right, coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Tom made me laugh in the episode because he said he was happy that everybody died because he hates the phrase dumb hats, and now he doesn't have to see their dumb hats anymore.
Imagine Arya take it with her just for disguise later on. Who knows?
Hats are so dumb. No weak facial hair.
It's to prevent lice or to keep lice within your self, I guess. I don't know. The next, so now we have the opening credits as we always see, and we start out with a huge like an avalanche, I guess, is what we see, right? And coming out of that was a Night King on a horse, and he sees glowing eyes. But the coolest thing I think about this was seeing a giant, right? So not only one giant, you can see probably three in this picture, one in the forefront and two in the back. Like, they have giants. So that begs the question, do you think they have like an ice dragon maybe? In the books, they mentioned ice spiders, you know, so ice bears, all that kind of stuff. What do you think they have in this army coming out?
I would like to, and now R.R. Martin says that it's not the same universe, but the similarities are almost too similar to ignore. He has a book called The Ice Dragon, and when this ice dragon dies, it becomes a pool of ice water. And that's why some people think that the ice water in front of the werewood in Winterfell, that's always super cold, despite having hot springs everywhere in Winterfell, is a dead ice dragon. So I don't know if they would reanimate in that way if the lore is similar. But I don't know. I think I would rather see them get an ice or a dead dragon later than have them have one already. You know what I mean?
I've always been on the side of, if they're going to do an ice dragon thing, I would hope that it would be because, like, one of Dany's dragons die and the Night's King resurrects the dragon, and then it's like an ice dragon, because that's really the only thing that makes sense with what they've established within the realm of the show, you know? I think taking stuff from the ice dragon, taking stuff that just hasn't been established at all in the show this far in, would feel kind of like weak sauce and shoehorned in. And
I would almost prefer the reanimated dragons. Like, I don't want them to breathe ice. I would rather them breathe, like, blue fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe it has, like, because, like, some people say there's fire so hot that it feels cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe something like that.
That being said, I wouldn't hate, like, ice spiders and stuff, because Old Nan did talk about stuff like that on the show. So as long as it's been mentioned on the show, I have no problem with them bringing it in.
But speaking of Old Nan, I really did think it was interesting that this is what we saw before the episode really started, was us going into the eye of one of the giants.
Yep. With the blue-eyed chip, the Mulumba or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Macumba, I think.
Yeah, Macumba,
So
yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Solid.
I'm with you guys. I really hope it's, like, I really don't want to, I hate seeing animals die or anything, but, like, it would be really cool if it was Dany Dragon dying and the Night King resurrecting. I'm on that team. I want to see that, and I agree with the blue fire and all that stuff too. I think that's great. But this whole brought us, like, it was, so now here's a question I have for you guys. Was it, some people were asking this, is it Bran warging into a white? Because can he do that now that he has a connection to the Night King? Or do you think it was just, like, what do you think was happening? It was just happened to coincide of him coming out of another dream?
No, I think whites are kind of off the map for green seers. I wouldn't.
No, I think he was just seeing a vision of, like, the army of the dead again. I didn't take it that he was warging into one of them at all.
Or I also took this as what Sandor's seeing in the flames.
Oh yeah, that could be it too. Well, I guess we'll see.
And I like, and we'll get to that later. But if that is the case, I think it's a cool choice that they made.
Well, so that brings us to what we're talking about. It was who we're talking about, actually. Is Bran, him and Mira, who has arguably a lot larger legs now and forearms, finally getting to the wall, right? To getting to the Castle Black. And the gate is opened, and they're greeted by Dolorous Ed as well as some men of the Night's Watch. And he's like, "Who are you guys, wildlings?" She goes, "No, I'm, Mira Reed." And once again, she brings up Howland Reed, like a daughter of Howland Reed. So we'll see if that comes in, because like we said, at the Tower of Joy, there's only Bran being like the only other person alive, not really even being alive during that time, but seeing what happened, the only other person alive from that is Howland Reed, right? So, and John, obviously. But her mentioning Howland Reed might be a callback to that name just for a future reference. Who knows? And he says that this is the son of Ned Stark, and how do we believe it? Yeah, like how did that's what I was gonna say. Like I think who's it? Yeah,
I'm with that.
Nichelle in the chat. That's exactly what I'd say, but Nichelle just said it in the chat. How does that prove that's Bran? Oh, I saw you at Hardhome. I saw the like. How does that prove that?
I tried to think of a way to explain it, and my only the only thing I could come up with is Ed's seen a lot of things, and he knows John's just got a weird deal. He came back to life. He has a dire wolf. For this kid to be come out of nowhere, be like, "Oh, I'm Ned Stark's son, Jon Snow's brother, and I know all this weird stuff that happened to you." I would be like, "Yeah, John." But I agree. I'm stretching.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. It was weird to me. He didn't say anything that helped his case at all, to prove. These people know his brother. He could have thrown out some information that would have proved that he was, Jon Snow's brother, who I'm sure they've heard about. It was bizarre. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, well, what about mentioning Benjen? Right?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Because then we'll be like, oh, yeah, and by the way, we found Benjen Stark, my uncle, and he's a good guy undead who's trolling the north.
But they would know that Benjen was north of the wall, right? That's where he was lost. And if he mentioned that, maybe that would kind of solidify it more than just saying, I was at Hardhome or whatever. I saw you at Hardhome.
You don't have to be like, oh, I saw my dead uncle. You could just be like, hey, do you remember my uncle? He was the freaking lead ranger.
And I mean, if you want to get simple, if all he has to do is prove that he's a wildling, he doesn't even have to prove. And Nichelle said, what does it matter? He's cool with wildlings. Yeah, exactly. I think he would just want to know, because he would be have to give him a whole different introduction. Okay, if you're a wildling, here's the deal. Report to Winterfell, do this, blah, 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 blah.
Well, yeah, he's still open to even though they might be wildlings.
It's not like they just went up and killed them. Yeah. I think he just wanted to know. But
also, you never know what tribe of wildling it is either, because some are probably still not cool with the Night's Watch too either. So
Yeah, I think you'd be able to know if they're Thuns though. That's the only thing he likes.
Well, now that you mentioned Winterfell, that's where we go next. We go to Winterfell and we have the Kingsmoot, but not really Kingsmoot. We just have the little the gathering where Jon is talking about how important it is to harvest dragonglass and that boys and girls must do it, no matter what age, men, women, boys, and girls. And Lord Glover stands up and, he's the one who first refused back when they went to go get teams, right? And despite Sansa's, urge saying you got to join us, Lord Glover said no. So he's kind of stubborn, kind of refusing him in more occasions than one. He refuses this, but then, our favorite character, one of our favorite characters, Lyanna Mormont, stands up again and goes, I may be small, I may be a girl, but I'm still going to, put everything into this and fight the good fight. And, that changes. That just all she had to say. She's got the she's got the power, man. And it was great to see that. And so that kind of changed Lord Glover's mind. And it was just really funny to see that. And then Jon orders Tormund and to take the wildlings to become the new Night's Watch of the castles that aren't guarded anymore, because right now the Night's Watch is really only at Castle Black, and there's other castles so the first one they say they should go to the East Watch by the Sea, because that's where the first one that the Night King should be passing. And he, Tormund's all about it. He's like, let's go. I don't care. I'll go. I have no issue with going. So what do you think? Is that a smart move, or you think he's just being, a little too gutsy?
No, I think it's a smart move. I think Tormund knows that if he doesn't fight for his people, they're all going to die anyway. So if he has to go and, defend him, I was more taken aback by Mormont than by Tormund, but I'm not surprised at all.
I would trust Tormund at this point if I was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm with Tom. Yeah, I liked Lady Mormont's second part of her speech which was, I don't need your permission.
right.
to run their island. Everyone's doing this. Like, she laid the smackdown on that dude, and I was totally into it. I wish I had that sort of confidence at such a young age. I love Leanna Mormont. She's great.
This is the second time that she has like put Glover in his place. Too.
Yeah.
Like,
He doesn't learn.
We always talk about how powerful the women are in the show, but like we don't like her being not even like a major character. Look how powerful she is, and it's great to see. I love it. Like she's like a fan favorite. Everyone loves like her so much. Like I just love seeing it. And like we always talk, you know, like, we talk about like Danny and Cersei and like even Lena Tyrell and the Sand Snakes and how they're plotting, but just seeing her as a side character doing so much and like being so powerful, it's just great to see, and I love her. And I'm glad they brought her back. And I knew they were going to bring her back, but just having her still have more to say and be as powerful still is great to see.
Yeah, I like what Elise is saying in the chat. That was my favorite part too. It was the people's reactions to Lyanna, because like she talks and then you look over at Sansa and she's smiling, and then you look at Brienne and Brienne is like beaming, so happy like to see this little girl just being who she is. And even Davos looked very proud as well, and that's how I feel like we all felt as an audience. It's great.
And it was funny because Glover's questioning, should I like put a spear in my daughter or granddaughter's hand? But take a look at all of the women in that room. Even the new Karstark.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it wasn't the new Karstark. It was the new Umber.
No, Karstark.
No,
you're right. It's Karstark.
It was at least Karstark. She had had a sword on and everything. Like I love that. All of them set a good example of why they should take arms. You know what I mean?
So yeah, just what you're saying right there. That's actually the next thing we're talking about is we have not everything is here behind Jon Snow. Some people are. Sansa brings up the fact that the Karstarks and the Umber shouldn't be given their castles back. You know, first people say they should tear the castles down, but Sansa says no, we shouldn't tear them down because we need them. We need the castles, not the people, but we need the castles, and we'll give them to people who fought for Jon. But Jon's like, no. He's staying loyal to tradition and saying, listen, it wasn't the kids who started this rebellion against me or fought in this rebellion against me, so I'm not going to punish them for the sins of their father. So he calls up Ned Umber, which is interesting, Ned Umber and Alice Karstark, and asks them to pledge an oath of fealty to them, and which they do. They quickly do, and then all of a sudden everyone's back behind Jon again. But it was interesting to see Sansa step up against what Jon says in front of everybody, and you kind of see Littlefinger in the back, you know, the wheels are spinning in his head now. So how do you guys think about that? Yeah,
I think that Jon and Sansa both had valid points, but it was well handled. I think that Jon is it's totally to give people the second chance like that, and he doesn't want to rip these like ancestral homes from these people who he's leading. He doesn't, you know, he wants to be appreciated by his people and not burn them like that, you know, even if their parents who died are traitors.
If anyone should understand that what it feels like to have your ancestral home taken away from you, it should be Sansa. I think, like you said, both have valid points, but I think what the point of this whole thing is that Sansa, if she has something to say, she should say it to Jon before.
Yeah, then Michelle is saying that they should have discussed this privately.
But now maybe they're going to be like, okay, well, Sansa's on our small council, because that's what I want to see a few of the small councils. Like if that was an episode of just everyone planning, just everyone looking at a board, which was almost this episode, I would love it. And then fight later.
Yeah. So, we do see like the chat is kind of split. But a lot of people are saying we agree with Jon, but they do both have points, like Kimber said. And we do see a little private conversation afterwards saying like, listen, like you shouldn't have said anything in front of everybody. And then Sansa goes, you're making decisions too rashly, kind of like Joffrey. And he goes, are you just comparing me to Joffrey? It's like, no, you're not as bad as Joffrey, but don't fall into the same trap that Dad and Rob fell into, because, you know, they're dead. You know, you're alive. You got to make smarter decisions. You can't fall into the same trap as Jon and as Rob and Ned, like your father. So, and another thing people noticed was that like Cersei, I don't know if it was right now it happened or later, but they're talking about how Cersei's influence on Sansa, like how she's like admired her and all that kind of stuff. But her hairstyle too, if you notice, a lot of people mention that on the internet that her hairstyle was Cersei's hairstyle. So what do you guys think about that? Like, do you think she's turning into little Cersei, like a mini Cersei, or do you think that's just I don't know. They had to have that for a reason.
Yeah, I definitely. Like, I even like that John's like, it sounds like you would admire this woman. I definitely think she learned a lot from her, like she says. So I dig it. I don't think she could ever be as cruel as Cersei, but, you know, it's Game of Thrones. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I think that she knows what Cersei is, but she still had a lot of respect for how much she's gotten done with the way that she runs things and the way that she deals with people. I could see Cersei being inspiring to like this naive young girl to see this powerful woman, you know?
This is also Cersei, the Cersei she knew was Cersei pre-Joffrey died.
Yeah.
Ever since that, she doesn't know anything about Cersei now. So, I mean, Cersei then was just a very protective and vicious mother. You know what I mean? Now she doesn't have any excuse.
That's a really good point, because Sansa is quickly jettisoned away by I forgot the character's name, the fool.
Dantos.
Yeah, and they're taking, and Baelish took him away and sent to the Eyrie and all that. But yeah, so that's interesting to see. Now she doesn't really know how he is. Cersei is. Speaking of Cersei, she does send a raven to Jon saying, "I'm the new queen regent, the queen protector of the Seven Kingdoms and all that, and now you should bend loyalty to me or suffer the consequence of all traitors." And that cuts to a scene where we see from the promo, the trailer, of Cersei standing above the giant map of Westeros. Coincidentally, she's standing at the neck. And on the right, you see Jaime standing at the fingers. So a lot of people are speculating that, you know, he's going to wrap his fingers around her neck eventually and kill her. So it was a pretty cool scene. Like, just seeing it in the trailer was cool, but like the actual deeper meaning behind this scene makes it even better. So, you know, they're talking about how there's going to be an impending invasion eventually by Tyrion and Dany, because now Tyrion is the queen, the hand of the queen. It's kind of interesting that she names Dany a queen, right? She shouldn't really say hand like that. I don't know how, like, I guess they had to say that, but I wouldn't. If you see yourself as a queen, would you call someone else the queen? I don't know. But they discuss how they have enemies in every direction, and Jaime says that all the enemies look to Lancers as losing side, and they don't even have any more children for the dynasty because their dynasty is over. So what's the point of fighting? You know, maybe we should like try to find some allies and just hold up and not, you know, I don't know, like, find some way to win this because we look like the losers right now. And Cersei goes, you know, I've learned a lot from father, and I have been doing some plotting, and this is when we see, like, I did make some moves, and that's when we see the Euron Greyjoy's fleet come in, and led by his ship Silence. And this is an amazing. I love this scene. Like, this kind of rivals, like, and it's not as cool as Dany's scene at the season 6 finale, because he had dragons and all that, and all those different flagships from different families, but this is a really cool scene to see how big the Iron Fleet is, and you see the detail that you see the crow's eye sigil on the Greyjoy sigil, like, you know, emblazoned on it. So that was cool to see. And then, you know, Euron enters the crown room. You know, well, first of all, like, it's funny that the conversation between Jaime and Cersei outside saying they're losers. You know, they switch sides when they see fit and all that kind of stuff. But he's like, you know, sometimes we need people who will stand by your side, and then we could turn on them when we need be, you know. And so Euron enters it and has a really pretty good discourse that he says about, like, what he could offer, and he kind of like jabs at I feel like he was also doing a reconnaissance mission too, because he was like jabbing at Jaime. He stepped up a little towards Cersei, and he saw the mountain step forward. Like, he was doing a little bit of like scouting as well, but he was very, you know, like, talking very well and making a lot of promises. And then he actually proposes to Cersei, who quickly turns it down. We see the new armor of the mountain, which is pretty cool. So he says, you know, like, I'm here to marry you. And then she's like, you know, I refuse because you really have nothing to give me. So he's like, I'm going to come back with a priceless gift that you can't refuse. And then he leaves. So let's talk about the priceless gift a little later, because we have that coming up later in the show. But what did you think of the introduction? Like, I know we've seen Euron before, but I feel like he was a different character now in a way, because we got more dialogue from him in not talking to his own family, but talking to other people. So what did you guys think of Euron and his entry into the show, re-entry into the show?
He was better this time, for sure, for me. I liked his look better. His dialogue was more interesting. I just don't want them to rush him. Like, the King's Moot was a disappointment, and he really didn't make that huge of an impression on me last season, but this definitely had me more interested about him.
Yeah, a lot of things I liked about the scene. One was the Mountain's Darth Vader armor. That's really cool. The sass he was this was an episode full of sass. It was hilarious how much like quick jabs we're giving out, and I'm sure we'll bring up a bunch of them. But this episode was funny too, and I really think the balance was really good. But he was good. He was like a performer. I think Kimber said when he was with his family, he was more real with them. But I feel like he's more of a performer with everyone else. He even kind of had like eye makeup on as if he was kind of like part of a performance. Even his like attire was different. I love the meme you're telling me about.
Yeah, I saw this meme that was like when you have to see the Queen at 8, but you want to go see My Chemical Romance at 8:30, and you're on Greyjoy from this episode.
Yeah, I heard a lot of that My Chemical Romance. So I never heard of their music or seen who they look like, but I heard a lot about that on the internet. That's kind of funny. I didn't see the meme though, but I heard on other shows. That's funny. What you're saying about the jabs though, like, man, we saw Jamie lose his hand and all that, and like be desperate afterwards. But I felt like this was the most vulnerable I've actually seen Jamie, especially because he's wearing his armor. He's got his sword. He's standing like next to the throne, and like in the scene right before that, we talk about like he's talking to Cersei. He's like, should I be worried about like you? Like, you know, should I be afraid? And now he's getting like jabbed at by Euron as well. Like, I feel this is like the most, even though we saw him lose his hand, train with Bronn and still be like not a good fighter. I feel like this is the most vulnerable we've seen him, even though he's wearing his armor and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's a really good point, because I mean, the last time I think Jamie is vulnerable, I think about him and Brienne in the tub, and he was naked and dirty and like disheveled. But like you said, here he's standing next to the Iron Throne, sword in hand, and in his armor. I think that's a really good point. He did look vulnerable. I think he was also hurt that Cersei didn't say anything. If that was Daenerys and somebody was backsassing one of her people, like, she would have been like, watch your tongue. So-and-so, stop.
Yeah, but I think that Cersei wanted to see what kind of dude this was, and if you censor him, you don't get to get a true feel of what type of person he is.
You're not wrong, but I think that just because that was Cersei's intentions doesn't mean I don't think Jaime was hurt by it.
Of course Jaime was hurt by it, but I kind of liked that Jaime kept his cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was very much like about letting her be perceived as a ruler. If he would have gotten pissed, then she would have looked weak, and if she would have gotten pissed, it might have made her look weak too. She's cold, man. That's like what she's about right now.
So yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, it's also, I think that Jaime's had to hide this for, like, they both had to hide this relationship for so long, and now it doesn't even really matter if they hide it. So like, it's just a weird situation for him, because I feel like he's still like, Euron's talking about it like it's common knowledge that him and Cersei are together, which it is, but it's also rumor, like trash. Mm-hmm. So just for Jaime just to stand there, I don't know. You said it best with the armor thing. I think we're good on this.
Yeah, so it'll be fun to see what happens when he comes back with that gift or whatever it may be, and see how if the dynamic changes between the three of them. Which brings us to now Old Town. We go to the Citadel and we see this Maester in training in Sam doing all these mundane daily chores that he's got to do, where he's got to clean shit, feed people, all that. It's disgusting. I know like a lot of people got sick at my party during this scene because it's just the same stuff over and over, and it's kind of very disgusting. We see him like a restricted section behind while he's doing his things, and he wanted to get there. I think Hermione passed by, and I wasn't sure if she would let him in, but we didn't see that. But I'm pretty interested that we'd probably maybe see Walder Frey's actor come back as maybe Mr. Filch back behind that gate. I don't know. A kid's out of bed. We might not have seen Mr. Filch or Hermione, but we did get Professor Slughorn. So we had a scene where there was an autopsy happening, and we had a high-ranking Maester talking to Sam about, Sam asking for permission. Can I get access to restricted section? And he's like, no, why would you need that? Are you a Maester yet? He goes, no, but I've seen the White Walkers. And then this guy concedes the fact that yes, there are White Walkers. The Long Winter probably happened, but guess what? We're still here. The wall is still standing. And, that's probably just foreshadowing him saying the wall is still standing is probably jinxing it and foreshadowing the wall coming down eventually. But through everything, through everything that's happened, winters and springs and all that kind of stuff, we're still here. The cycle continues, and it's going to be forever like this. So, I mean, what did you think of that scene with him? And I feel like this is a very important scene, especially because like I guess that's Jim Broadbent, right? That's the actor. What did you think of this scene between Sam and him?
I mean, I thought the scene was good, but I don't want to just gloss over the opening scene. I thought that was done really well. I work in like the healthcare industry, so like the monotony of having to do day by day like stuff that many would consider gross kind of spoke to me, and how the food just started to not look discernible from the actual. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah, I see a lot of people are grossed out, but that was intended to
yep.
gross you out. Yeah, like that was edited very skillfully and super effective for what they were trying to do.
And I'm also glad that Sam's not just having the time of his life. Like, I'm watching this and I'm like, man, he was almost better off as a Night's Watchman. Like up there in the cold, he could have at least been reading or something. Here he's just scrubbing. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. But in regards to this scene, I think it's a very valid point that what the Maester is saying. Like, even in today's world, like, everyone thinks that the world is ending, but it's gonna go on. Like, I mean, I'm gonna say, I don't know about right now. I don't know if we're gonna get through this, but it's going to pass. Like, this too shall pass is a very common phrase that applies to everything. Anything else?
Okay, I'll move on then to we go back to Winterfell, to one of a lot of people's favorite ship. We see Brienne training with Podrick, but in the background we see someone lurking, and that's a very interested Tormund, right? So Tormund still has feelings for Brienne, right? And this is a really cute scene, and then we see Brienne knock down Podrick and goes, "You're a lucky guy," or whatever he says. I thought that was a pretty funny scene. Because, you know, a lot of people want to see this happening, but we probably will never see it happen because eventually these people are going to split up probably really soon. But we do see the scene between Sansa and Littlefinger talking about, like, are you happy? Are you safe? I just want you to be happy and safe. And she's like, I am safe. He goes, but are you happy? So he's kind of planting these little seeds, like kind of like we saw with back last season with the High Sparrow and Tommen, you know, little seeds of doubt he's trying to plant. And I mean, like, she claimed, you know, Brienne breaks up this talk, but Sansa claims, I know what he wants, and I don't think he's ever gonna get it. So I'm gonna use him because we need the Knights of the Vale and all that. Do you think you're gonna see us start seeing a turn from her, or do you think she's got it in check?
I think she has control of the situation, mostly because Littlefinger was dumb and told her exactly what she wanted. So when she says, "Oh, I know what he wants," she's not wrong. I don't know. I think Sansa will be able to handle Littlefinger fine. I know there's going to be a confrontation between Jon and him later from what we've seen in the trailers. So I think that between Jon and Sansa, I don't think Littlefinger is going to be that much of an issue in the end. He might hiccup some plans here or there, but
yeah, I just want to say I loved that Tormund and Brienne stuff. That was cracking me up. He is super adorable around her. And I was a big fan of that reference because a lot of people really enjoyed that last season. My favorite thing about the Sansa scene is when he's leaving, he's going to go say the last word, and she says something along the lines of, "No need to seize the last word. I'll pretend it was something clever," you know?
So much sass
in this
episode.
great.
It was so good.
And that's like such a Littlefinger move to even throw on him in the first place. So he's definitely getting a taste of his own medicine.
We've seen in the past, Littlefinger always tries to get the last word because he wants the last thing he says to be the last thing in your mind. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So for her to take, like, and just put him in his place was awesome.
Yeah, like you guys said, like, he always likes to get the last word, and just this is kind of like a game of one-upsmanship. And the fact that she did that, she kind of got the one-up on him and walked away, like kind of dropped the mic and walk away kind of thing. So that was cool to see. Another thing that was cool to see that a lot of people on the internet didn't like, and I know Tina told me earlier that it caused someone to delete their Twitter, was seeing, or first hearing, and I knew right away, Ed Sheeran, like, being on the episode of Game of Thrones. I heard him, and as soon as I'm a huge Ed Sheeran fan. You know, like, I know people are saying bring people from the mainstream into a show like this, but he, you know, if you saw him in the scene, he was just singing, and then he wasn't really, he was in the scene, but he wasn't talking. The dialogue went to the real actors. He was just there to have the scene where he's singing the song in the beginning with the other people. And when Arya walked in, I think this was just a little tip of the hat to the actress Macy Williams, who is a huge Ed Sheeran fan. So it's kind of like the directors did this, or the producers did this for her to have him in the scene with her. And when, Arya rides up as she's traveling along the King's Road, sees a bunch of Lannister men, is scouting them, looking at their weapons, seeing how they're sitting around the fire and stuff like that. And they're singing a song. Apparently this song is about Jaime and Cersei, like the shame that a guy has and love for her, and the love's not known, or is the love is his shame, because it's his sister. But one being the chain that they're talking about is the chain of being the hand or the Kingsguard, and a golden hand being involved as well. So we know Jaime has a golden hand as well. But I did like the scene. I did like Ed Sheeran, and I'm glad that they didn't focus on Ed Sheeran being like, oh, hey, here's a mainstream actor, let's focus on him. They just had him to sing the song and then just sit around the fire with all these other Lannister men. And then this is where Arya kind of learns more of the lesson of, like, it's not as black as white as it seems. There are some really good people out there, and they're talking around the fire, talking about, like, I want to go back and see my child. Here's like the wine that my parents taught me to make. I can't wait to see them again. And they're sharing whatever little food they have. So not all Lannister men or soldiers are bad people, and she's kind of learning that. I'm hoping she doesn't kill him. We don't see what happens. Maybe we'll learn next week and we'll see a pile of dead bodies. Who knows? But I don't know. What are your thoughts about this scene?
I have strong feelings about this whole Ed Sheeran thing. First of all, like, I've known Ed Sheeran was going to be on Game of Thrones for like 6 months now, so I don't know why people are freaking out, because they announced this forever and a day ago. Two, Ed Sheeran is a huge Game of Thrones fan. I've watched footage of this guy, like, getting replicas of the swords as gifts, and it just making his life. And he also knows Kit Harington. So to me, it's not. Yeah, they met at a bathroom stall. But to me, it's not like completely out of place for Ed Sheeran to be here. I think he sounds perfect to be singing a song in this world. He did the Hobbit theme song and stuff. I also think he looks great in the Lannister armor, and totally, like, I bought it. And this song is in the books, and it refers to Tyrion and Shay, and I actually like it much better in reference to Jaime and Cersei. Obviously, like, the golden hand thing makes a lot more sense with them, and the lyrics are perfect. But me and Tom had a very favorite thing in this scene, and there's something to be said about the Starks and their parents, the Stark children and their parents, representing like the embodiment of the Seven. And Arya would be the stranger in that scenario, with, like, Ned as the father, Kat as the mother, Robb as the warrior, etc. And we really liked the line where, we really liked the line where the soldier was like, if you be kind to strangers and they'll be kind to you. It felt like a nod at, like, okay, he's going to be kind to Arya, who's like the stranger, and then she's going to be kind to him. So I thought that was a cool little line.
I didn't even pick it up. That's actually amazing. That's good insight right there.
And almost a flip too, because if you remember Arya going to Bravos, people were telling her their names.
Yeah.
Because, the whole thing with the Faceless Men is, if you know someone's name, you can't kill them. So the fact that people fear strangers more than they fear, or the people fear, you know what I'm trying to say, I just can't say it right now.
They fear because she's a stranger.
Yeah, a stranger. They're not trying to get to know her.
So I mean,
she's not those people, Corey. That was the whole point of that scene, is that they happen to be Lannister soldiers, but they were kind to her, and they think King's Landing is terrible, and they're not pleased with their situation. They were just geographically born in an area where they're going to end up with that army.
They're obviously young too, so if they've just been brought into the fold of the Lannister army, then they're not responsible for anything that's happened.
They're still bagging. Leave Ed Sheeran alone. They've had tons of cameos from other musicians too. Mastodon did the show. No one said anything. Of Mice and Men was on the show. No one said anything. Leave Ed Sheeran. Just leave him alone.
Also, like, and for like Kimber said, this was known a while back, like, that Ed Sheeran was going to be on the show. And just for other people who don't know, apparently Conor McGregor is also going to be on the show. So get ready for that. So before we get any hatred for that, I think he might be one of Euron's men or something, but he's supposed to be on the show later as well. So just so you guys know now. But I love Ed Sheeran. I support him, and I think he's a great guy. So that's all I got.
One Direction can have a member in a Christopher Nolan movie, I think we can have a Sheeran.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the Brotherhood Without Banners, and Sandor Clegane is still with them. And as soon as I saw the house, I knew what this was. But I guess for people who didn't know that they had that callback in the beginning of the, previously on Game of Thrones thing, this was the house of the father and daughter that took in Arya and the Hound, and then the Hound turned on them and beat up the father, like just punched the father and took his money and said they won't survive the winter. And that's what we come back to see. Like they come to that cabin, and when they go inside, Thoros and Beric are like, oh, we should go in there because there's no fire, there's no livestock. That means it's probably ripe for the taking. Just take it. We're not going to hurt anybody. But when they go and they see the body of the father and the daughter, turns out the father probably killed the daughter and then killed himself just to spare them from starvation and freezing to death, right? So it was a sad scene, but we did get more of that because we had the conversation with Beric and Thoros where he talking about the justice, like, why are you still alive after 7 times of dying? And, these 2 people are not, it's not right. And Thoros says, come to the fire and I'll explain why. He's like, look into the fire and tell me what you see. And we had that funny line where the Hound goes, for my luck, I'm with people who worship fucking fire or something like that. He says something to that nature. And I thought I got to laugh out of that. But he has him look into the fire. And when the Hound looks into the fire, he sees like the wall. He sees an army of the dead marching, and he sees an arrow shaped like a mountain shaped like an arrowhead, and the army that's marching past the castle by the sea and stuff. And then he mentioned the wall again. Also, the fire sparks up, probably maybe foreshadowing again that the wall is coming down. So that was a really cool thing to see, and maybe this is showing us where the Hound and the Brotherhood without banners are going next, because obviously it's kind of pointing to that. But what else we get during that thing is at night, Thoros wakes up in the middle of the night and happens to hear noise, goes outside and sees Sandor Clegane digging grave for the two previous occupants of the cabin. And this might be a nod to the book where he's the gravedigger, or thought to be the gravedigger in the book. So that was nice for the fans, like for the fans who read the book. And I don't know. I just thought it was a really good scene of kind of full circle of like the Hound kind of towards his redemption arc. I don't know. Well, how do you feel about what you saw here in this whole scene?
It was one of my favorite ones. It made me appreciate a lot of the things. I like that it addressed a past episode, because I did want to see, and we've seen Sandor take the gravedigger mantle already, because he buried all the people who were slaughtered by Lemoncloak and his goons. But he even makes a reference to that day. He's like, I know people better than you. But they get hung from rafters, or they get their heads cut off. I think that was about Ned Stark. I think that Clegane has come a long way. Like, I almost don't want to call him the Hound anymore, because I think they're like 2 different people. I think the Hound is dead. So I also wonder if his face didn't get burnt when he was a kid, if he would have seen things in the fire beforehand. And I like that they didn't show us what he saw in the fire. Cut it. So it was like, oh, I see ice. And then it's like, I like that they just let it kind of like, speak for itself.
Right.
Plus, I like the man bun.
They save money. Oh God, the man bun. They did save money on the CGI as well. So that's what I thought of when I saw that too.
But it would have been corny.
Yeah, it would have been corny. But that also makes me think that's also what makes me think that the intro, seeing all of the walkers, because he almost describes that whole thing.
Right.
I think that might be what we're seeing then.
Well, from there, we go back to Old Town. We see Sam actually reading one of the books. And one of the interesting things, and actually, I got to get to Eric. Eric was on another show, and he mentioned this scene from the book. Scene from the show where he looks in the book, and you actually see the cat's paw dagger that the assassin used back in season 1 to try to kill Bran is actually in that book. Because, we know it's Valyrian steel. But in the book, he does read that there's a huge dragon glass cache located under Dragonstone. So he immediately writes a raven and wants to send it to Jon, because he feels that that's information Jon needs to know. The next scene we see him, he's walking through the holding cells and collecting the food, and an arm juts out, and we see it's like a grayscale type of arm. So we know, and the person asks, hey, is the Dragon Queen here yet? And Sam goes, I don't know. And obviously we know it to be Jorah, because look how the grayscale has affected him. It's actually spread. So that was a pretty crazy scene. But that brings us to our next part where, do you guys have anything to say about the the Sam or
Yes.
the Jorah?
Yeah, I saw that some eagle-eyed fans did notice that there is some potential information in the book that they were reading. I think it might have been the one that Gilly was reading, but it said something about how to possibly cure grayscale. So I don't want to go too much into it in case people aren't into like spoilers and stuff, but there are hints there that they might find for maybe to help Jorah out.
I also think this is a good way to be like, because I'm hoping a little bit of time passes between episodes so we can just get stuff done. Sam already sent the Raven this time. He actually sent the Raven like he was supposed to. And John's already planning on going over to Dragonstone to talk about what's up. You know what I mean? So I would like things to just move really well. I don't want any.
Well, yeah, we
only have 7.
I feel like this was a setup episode, and from here on, everything's gonna go boom, 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 and we're gonna move on. So, but we can't. The one last thing that happened in this episode, like we said earlier, that what Game of Thrones does is really well is they have really good cold openings, but they also have really good scenes where there's no dialogue and just music, and you take in the beauty of the scene, and that's what we saw next when we saw Daenerys finally come back home to her birthright of Dragonstone. So here she comes with her fleet behind her, but they go on a smaller boat to access, the cove, and the one cool thing I did see in that scene was when you see the dragons fly, you kind of see how big Drogon got, because his wingspan is about the same size as that tower that we see in the back when he actually gets close to it. So you see how big the dragons have gotten since. And then I guess later on, I know in the trailers we've seen, you barely can see her on the back of Drogon because how small she is compared to how big Drogon's got. So that was, just the beauty of the scene, seeing her come home, no dialogue, just music, her touching down on the sands, and then like finally reaching down and touching the sand for the first time, or I guess some people say she's been here before. She's played it on some other things. I've seen that she's actually grew up here for a few years and then moved. Then was whisked away. So I'm not sure about the timeline exactly, but there's still a touching scene regardless. And then her going in, climbing up and finding, sorry, Eric, the Stannis banners and just ripping them down. I'm pretty sure that ripped Eric's heart out at the same time. Because as we know, Stannis is the last occupant of this. Then we actually saw another nice scene where she walks into the throne room with her, her entourage, but Missandei actually pulls Grey Worm back, because Grey Worm is kind of like her right-hand man, her bodyguard. She holds him back, saying, "Let her take this moment in herself." And still, we have no dialogue. We just see her taking in her history, her her tradition and her culture, and she just keeps walking in. The only person who goes with her is Tyrion. So that could be maybe a nod to him being a Targaryen. Who knows? That they're both walking in towards this throne room together. And then the final thing we see is them going to what I call the war room, where the map of the table is that we see from the trailer, her resting her hand along it. And then she turns, and the first dialogue we hear is her say, "Shall we begin?" And then it cuts to black. So, I've talked enough about the scene. I want to hear Kimber and Tom's thought about this. How did you feel about this?
This was my favorite part of the episode, personally. I love Dany. It was emotional. Dany was, she doesn't remember this. The place that she remembers, particularly that they talk about in the books, is possibly in Dorne. They're not sure. Some people think they're, Bravos, rather. Some people think she was born in Dorne because of lemon trees and stuff. She doesn't remember Dragonstone, and it's so emotional to see her just... I loved that it didn't have dialogue. It spoke for itself. She touches the ground of her ancestral people. She goes into this building that basically matches her whole outfit and aesthetic. Like, seeing the dragons flying around Dragonstone, it's beautiful to see after so long.
What John said about stripping ancestral homes in the opening part, now applying to Dany returning to...
Yeah, he's talking about the parallels of like John talking about maybe stripping people's ancestral homes and why that's wrong, and now she's getting hers back. I also thought that the "Shall we begin" kind of mirrored Cersei and Jaime's scene, because she said, "How do we proceed?" with like "Shall we begin?" And it was awesome. Like, I loved everything about that scene. I thought it was great. I'm really looking forward to see what happens next.
Yeah, so I like I said, like, this was the episode that brought everything to us to like a beginning, and from here on out, I think it's gonna go at a very fast pace because we only have so many episodes left. So it's gonna go boom, 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 and we're gonna have big point after big point after big point. This was kind of like that paced episode, and after that, we're going fast forward. Does Tom have anything to go into the scene, or can we go into our next segment?
we got to hurry up because Tom has to
Yep.
go to work.
All right.
I did want to say one thing, and I have a question about. Cersei knows that Tyrion's her hand. How?
Spies,
Spy?
maybe. Yeah, spies. Probably, maybe. I don't know.
I like
right.
that.
So here we go to our next segment that we're bringing back. I will be your champion. So of the first episode, who would you give your championship? Who would be your champion, Tom?
I mean, I think that's a hard one. I think I'm gonna say Arya just because she had such a strong comeback, and I didn't get disappointed.
Okay.
What do you think?
Kimber, who is your champion, Kimber, for this episode?
Daenerys Targaryen is my champion for this episode. She was in a really short scene, but a particularly powerful one, and I think this was her moment. This is what she's always wanted to do. She wanted to come and get her home back, and she has it. So I have to pick Dany.
And for my champion, I think I had to go with Euron. I think his entrance was pretty badass, and even though he dug at my boy Jamie, he still had a good like a good discourse and everything. I think it was great. Seeing him come into the city was also very well done, in my opinion. So I really have to say that maybe I would have to go with Euron as my champion for this episode. Like we say, we always go from the good to the bad. So I'm gonna go with the shame bell for this episode. My shame bell has to go to Jorah Mormont. Shame, shame, shame. How are you going to reach out with your grayscale hand and touch one of the most beloved characters in the show? No glove, no love, Jorah. You know better. Don't be touching Sam with your infected hand, all right? So that's what I got to say. My shame bell goes to Jorah. So now I will go to Kimber. Kimber, who does your shame bell go to?
Yeah, my shame bell goes to the internet. Leave Ed Sheeran alone. That's
Shame, shame, shame.
shame.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's any fan of the show would take the opportunity to be on it. That's all the guy was doing. He did a nice job. Leave Ed Sheeran alone.
Okay, Tom, go ahead. Who's your shame bell go to?
I'm gonna shame Brienne. How is she not in love yet?
Shame, shame. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Shane. Go
That's
ahead.
it.
That's it.
Oh, that was it. Okay. So,
Who are you shaming? Oh yeah. So yeah, we're good.
so I kind of hear something in the distance. Give me a second. If it's actually
What could that be?
so, that sound can only mean that we got a Raven from Castle Black. So we got to go to our polls that we put up earlier this week and earlier today. So Kimber will take over and talk about what our Raven from Castle Black has to offer.
Sure. Last week we had a poll. It was still open when we did the episode, so we were just going to go over that one again in case anybody didn't come out and watch the recap. Kal asked, which team will suffer the first major death of Season 7? It's still up in the air because no one really got taken out this time. And s7e won the poll with a 38%. s7e with Euron on their team, followed by Jon and with the North and the Vale. People voted 22% on him. Super Team is next on the poll at 30%, and not too many people thought the Night King is going to have one of the first defeats. Only 10% went there. We asked another day for this week's poll. And it was, what will Euron's gift be? Is ahead in the poll with 42%. Makes sense to me for a lot of reasons. Tweet me if you're curious. Next we have a dragon, or the dragon horn. This would disappoint me since it's not been set up in the show, but a lot of people are feeling that. Dany is at 7%. That'd be a huge gift. It'd be really hard to get to her. And then we had some other replies in the comments at the other 17%. And Gabriel Leroux said the heads of the Iron Bank owners. That would be a good one.
And literally.
Yeah, Eric Monroe was suggesting Ilaria Sand. I know that a lot of people are thinking the Sand Snakes might be an option there. As well as Janine. So those are the polls.
That was our poll brought from the Raven from Castle Black. Now we can get into some callers who can discuss this question too, like with you guys as well as me, what we think our gift will be. So or Euron's gift will be. So go, if you want to get in, I think we have an order of who's calling in.
Yeah, let me check that real quick. First, we have Billy. Were you doing 2 callers or 1?
You can do 2 callers at once, I guess, and talk about who just respect each other, let them answer and stuff. So let the other person answer as well. So
Billy and Eric are going to be coming in. And Matthew, Whitaker, and Corey are next on the list. So if you guys are calling in tonight, please confirm in the chat. Eric is ready. We've already been talking about Game of Thrones, me and Eric.
Trying to find him. Too many Eric Monroes.
There he is.
It's number 200. I know. Get rid of the first 199. He's number 200.
Touch.
Matt, I would just need your Gmail. And if you used Hangouts before, you should know how to pick up a call. If not, you just go to Google Hangouts or check your email. Just like to say thank you everyone who's watching, who's not, you know, in the chat. You're awesome. Thanks.
Oh, there's Eric, I think. Evil twin ghost.
Got it.
Hey, Eric.
Can you see me?
Yeah, now you can see it now.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Hey, what's up?
So welcome.
Great recap. I could listen all night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So who do you think the gift is? And mention your other theory that you had in the chat. I thought that was very interesting. Tom and I both enjoyed that. I saw him nod at that when he's.
I think the gift is going to be Ilaria Sand and maybe some sand snakes. You know, she killed Marcella. I could totally see that happening. I mean, it could very well be Tyrion, but if I had to put money on it, I would say it's going to be Ilaria Sand and the sand snakes. And my theory, perhaps Dario is pissed. You know, hell have no fury like a woman scorned. Maybe hell have no fury like Dario scored, and maybe he's giving the new queen some intel on Daenerys Targaryen.
You're just obsessed with fury.
Welcome, Billy. What about you? What do you think the gift that Euron hat is going to be?
I think it's a couple of things. One, it could be very well be Ilaria Sand because of Marcella. I'm thinking it's pretty obvious. Well, the obvious one for me is Tyrion, just because, you know, it's very well known that Cersei absolutely hates Tyrion. And, you know, she talked about him a lot when she talked about Daenerys, because she's like, yeah, Tyrion's now the hand of the queen, you know, just like, so he's still around. And then she also has a line that goes like, we're the only Lannisters left, the only ones that count. So, I mean, it's not entirely impossible for that to happen, and I would fear for Tyrion, but that's what I think Euron's gift is, or he's going to try to do that because no one messes with Tyrion Lannister.
And your overall thought on the premiere?
My overall thought on the premiere, I thought it was really solid. I mean, I was just live. Eric knows this because we were liking each other's tweets and all that. We were just live tweeting the entire show. And I don't get the big deal with Ed Sheeran. He did fine. Who cares? He's a good singer.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, so if you guys want to plug, I know we have a lot of callers and we don't have that much time. So if you guys want to plug yourself. So Eric, I know you did your own recap on Mine is the Fury. So go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, I do a Game of Thrones recap show called Mine is the Fury. You can catch that on my YouTube, which is on my Twitter account. You can follow me at mmkoch200 and let me know what you think.
Billy, anything you want to plug? And then we'll get the next 2 callers in.
Well, you can just find me here frequently, a frequent caller of the OSPeep, and now Night's Watch Season 2. And you can find me on Twitter at bbusterbill. All the B's are capitalized. And yeah, just hit me up and talk. I'll see you guys in the chat. And winter is finally here, so I'm psyched.
Thank you guys for supporting. And you might see a little bit more of Eric next week too. So
Can I just say one quick thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
One quick thing. The scene of Stannis' banner coming down made me weep.
I figured
I wept.
when I saw that happening at my
Just
party, I
wanted
was
to
like,
say it.
"Oh man, I got to message Eric about this because he's probably crying." But thank you guys. Thank you guys for the
Blah,
support.
blah, blah, blah.
Thank you for calling in.
No problem.
Gonna get the next.
See you guys later. Bye.
What I want to say while you guys are getting the next callers in about the whole Ilaria San thing, like how would Euron know that she's the one who killed Myrcella? That's the only thing. That's the only thing I have to say about that. I think that the Iron Bank thing was my idea. I'm not my idea. I'm saying what I also thought was because they know about the debt to the crown, right? The debt the crown has. So that kind of made more sense to me because like how would he know about? Most people have spies everywhere, so.
He also said like you should try killing your brother, and while we thought that was a jab at Jaime, it could have also meant Tyrion. So that's why I'm rooting more towards Tyrion.
Yeah, and the whole like speech that Cersei gives with like our brother who you love so much, who you set free. Like I feel like it's definitely like setting up a Valonqar moment if like it has a second where she's gonna kill Tyrion, and maybe that gives him a chance to want to take her out. You know, Tyrion feels like the right one for me.
All right, so Matt and Corey, I think we sent you guys your invite. Oh, the chat's probably delayed though, but yeah, you sent it in chat. So
I
I
don't think there's anything.
I have things to say. That I saw Corey ask what song did Ed Sheeran sing. In the books, this bard finds out that Shay and Tyrion are a thing, and in order to blackmail Tyrion, he writes a song about it, like in a threatening manner, like, "Oh, I'm going to tell the song to spill the beans." And in the books, when Tyrion murders Shay, he's actually singing that "Hands of Gold" song. But I think it's more appropriate, like I said, for Jaime and Cersei, so they used it that way in the show, which I was a fan of.
let's call on Matt and Corey. So I guess we'll go to Matt first. What do you think the gift will be, and what are your thoughts of the episode as a whole?
Well, I have no idea what the gift will be, but the episode as a whole I thought was pretty awesome. I mean, great opening sequence with lots of death, and yeah, that was pretty freaking cool. And I had a little bit of a problem with the shit cleaning, but otherwise, you know, they brought back all of our buddies, right? And that was my best. That was the best. Yeah.
Corey, what about you? What do you think the gift is going to be, and what do you thought of the episode?
I think the gift isn't going to be a person. I think the gift is going to be a place. He's going to go capture something and come back and say, "Hey, man, I took this place, whatever." I'm not even sure, but I don't think it's going to be a person.
It's a good idea.
What do you think of the
I
episode
think about
too?
I like this episode. I knew that it was going to be some table setting. I knew that was going to happen because this is the first time that Daenerys is actually there and a player, and so they're going to have to readjust people to the new reality. So I knew it wasn't going to be a rip-roar of an episode. It was going to be prologue, you know. We're telling a completely new story now.
And it's going to be fast-paced soon enough. Matt, so what do you think? Do you have anything to promote?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. ScreenMayhem.com. It's also at ScreenMayhem on Twitter. Right now, actually, coming Friday or maybe Sunday, we have a new TV three-way where we have a guest on, and me and my co-host Steven, we talk about 3 different TV shows, and we happen to have Kimber on this episode talking about some good stuff, so check that out. And of course, I've forever been the host of Cinema Bushido, so if you like action cinema, check out that. It's at Cinema Bushido on Twitter.
Yeah, and I had a great
Corey?
time doing that show as well, I have to say. Corey?
Oh, hello. I do the Tech Podcast at Tech Podcast 1, and this week Ashley was on it, so that's pretty cool.
Woo!
Yeah, woo.
Nice.
That's good.
All right, so
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Speaking of Ashley, sorry to interrupt. Speaking of Ashley, I think they're going to be playing their game again tonight, so look out for that if you guys are interested in that Let's Play of Life is Strange.
They'll be playing episode 2 tonight, and episode 1 they played yesterday, so that's available on their channel, Geek to My Nerd.
I will totally be there.
yeah, we had a good time last night watching it for as long as I could stay up for it. That was fun to watch. So thank you, Matt and Corey, for joining us. Is there anybody else that wants to call in? Or is that
I think we're good. No one's answering in the chat. I think that's
right.
all
So Tom and Kimber, if you want to go through what what you guys are doing tomorrow and next week. Oh, not next week, I guess. Next week too as well. I guess not Monday, but
every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow is our Twin Peaks recap. So if you're watching the revival of Twin Peaks, please come along and talk to us about it. Hopefully Tina will be there and be able to inform us on all the things we missed.
We were lost without Tina, honestly.
Luckily, she informed Kal.
Yes.
But she is an asset to the show. But Twin Peeps tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing this along in the chat. Other than that, check out oddshapechannel.com. I'm probably going to update it tonight at work, so everything should be legit and correct. And
I think we might be doing a Doctor Who OSP in the near future, so look out for that. And again, check me out. They're going to be releasing my episode that I did of a movie three-way. Those guys are really great, and it was hilarious and fun, so definitely check that out when it drops. You'll be able to find that all over my page.
Also, if you are into Supernatural and you haven't seen our Cars and Popcorn episode with Tom Zambino, it's a lot of fun. You can check it out at his channel, Zed Reviews. Also, go, if you want to find it, it's on our guest spot section on our channel, and it should be right there in the front, and it was a lot of fun. And it was good.
Yep.
How about you, Kal?
Well, before I do that, I think Delisha wanted to call in. If you have a second. So
okay. Yeah.
Delisha,
let me call her.
All right, we're calling you, Delisha.
I'm just gonna start getting ready for work in the background.
Blocked somehow, Corey. We didn't intend to do that. I think that he just tried to eject you from the call.
Oh, maybe it was from the call, Corey, not from the chat. I think we're calling you right now, Delisha. So. All I gotta do is I'll put up the social media card after this. That's all we gotta do.
Oh, there she is.
There's Alicia. Hey, Alicia, welcome.
Hey.
So,
sorry.
What do you?
I was still on a lag, so I didn't know that I had to put my name in the chat. Oh, hi.
So, what do you think the gift is gonna be, and what are your thoughts of the episode?
The gift, I do think I don't know. I don't know a lot of Euron's motivations. So I wasn't really sure. I said I think I picked Tyrion, or like he's going to attempt to, but I don't think he's going to succeed because, again, he's as much as Dany is, he's very guarded by a horde of armies, and he's the hand of the queen, so he's going to be as guarded as probably as much as she is. And overall, I thought the episode was really good. It's the first time I ever got to watch Game of Thrones live, even though I was having issues, but it was the first time I got to just watch the show live and talk with everyone, so that was a pretty exciting part. And overall, I agree with one of our other fellow Game of Thrones recap people, Ken Knapsack, who said this is one of the best.
What the hell?
I don't know. This is one of the best first episodes of Game of Thrones in a while, so I tend to agree with that.
Oh, sorry about that. I got a different call. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. So where can we see you, Delisha? Let us know.
Say that again?
Where can we see you?
Oh, well, you can always find me here on Arche Panel every other week when we're talking pop culture. You can find me on Aftermath with you and along with our buddy Eric, recapping the pay-per-view shows of WWE. You'll see us next Monday for Battleground. And then you can also find me writing articles for OSPeeps.com. And you can find me on Twitter at Delisha_Renee. That's DELISHA_RENEE.
All right, I think we have one more caller, actually, if we have a second, because my friend's been trying to call, but he didn't know how to call in. Kimber, do you know how to call in? Oh, Tom, you there?
Yes, throw the email in the chat.
Okay.
I'll delete it after a bit.
Yeah, he was trying to get in, but he didn't. I don't think he can chat in here, so. Oh, without the plus. I hit the plus when I tried to hit enter. .com, no plus. I think we're calling you now, Nick.
I don't know if it works if it's not a Gmail account.
Yeah, it has to be a Gmail.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind.
I'll try it and see if it comes up. I'll see if it pops up.
Technology, you never know.
Yeah, his name pulled up.
Try it.
So I just sent him an invite, and it might bring it.
I think we sent it to you, Nick. So if you can hear us.
Mavis wants to call in. Mavis says she misses Sir Pounce, is what her opinion is.
Yeah, what's going on with Sir Pounce?
abandoned.
Yeah, is he just wanting the streets as a stray cat? Which makes me sad.
If he can't get in, we might have to call it. But is he on? I can't see because I'm on a different window.
No, I would be saying hello. I'm not rude. Oh my God. When John was like, "Oh, thanks for
go.
saying that I'm not like Joffrey," I was dying inside.
Oh, yeah, there he is. Okay, Nick. Hey, Nick, what's going on? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear us? Yeah. So, what do you think Euron's gift's gonna be, and what do you think of the overall episode? This is my best friend since childhood, so this is like my Candace.
Episode. So what I was thinking the whole time, and I was thinking this from last season, is like that these guys individually find their place in the world. And like I was thinking about that, like, you know, before last season, at the end of last season, you had a lot of people like coming together and feeling good about where they were. And I see Jon Snow becoming a mature leader. I see Arya becoming a perfect assassin, and actually that's really her role, but she's like out for justice. And I think I'm excited about seeing these people becoming this thing that they need to be. You know, I think that Dany was the same thing. She was like going to her home. It's like it's this journey that they're all on, and they're coming to like a good place. So I was excited about that.
What do you think Euron's gift's gonna be?
Is there some hostage? I don't know. I was thinking like, who could it be? And I'm like, they're probably characters I don't know about. That was one thing.
It's gonna be someone from the show, because otherwise I don't think it would make sense for the people who watch only the show. So it's probably gonna be someone from the show.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I have no idea. What's the theory? I was watching the episode. I don't remember that part.
There's a poll up there, and we probably think. I think the majority, Kimber said, chose it to be to Tyrion. I think, right? So people think it's gonna be Tyrion that's gonna be brought back. So, do you have anything you want to plug before we wrap up? Because Tom's got to go to work soon, so we got to wrap up. Do you have anything you want to plug?
No, I just want to say great episode.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being supporting us and everything. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So when I guess so you, Alicia, you got the stuff in right about Aftermath and the OSPeeps panel, OSPeeps channel, OSPeeps Press, your article, right?
Yeah, I got all my plugs in.
Okay, and Tom and Kimber, you've done it as well.
Yeah, you can tweet at us. I'm at OSPeeps Panel on Twitter, or you can check out our stuff at OSPeeps. You did yours, right?
Yeah, I'm at Kimberbatch_OSP.
All the details are in the description below.
Yeah, or right here. So if you check this out, if you want to submit anything, submit it at nightswatchtube@gmail.com. Like they said, you could find Tom at OSPeeps Panel on Twitter, Kimber at Kimberbatch_OSP, and you can find me at Virgin Deja Vu or at NightsWatchTube. So make sure you follow all three of us on Twitter. Subscribe to the OSPeeps channel YouTube. The link is in Tom's Twitter. Also, you can find it on the content page of www.oddshapechannel.com. Subscribe to my YouTube, the Kingslayer YouTube. You can find that on either Virgin Deja Vu or Night's Watch Tube on Twitter in the profile. And then also retweet that tweet that's pinned to the Night's Watch Tube Twitter, because that's your chance to enter the raffle for the Night's Watch box. Thank you again to Janine for the title card at Janine DeBean. And thanks to Streetball for doing the theme song that we're going to play out right now at Streeps Music. So until next week, where we're going to be discussing Stormborn. That's episode 2 of Game of Thrones, Stormborn. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much. Later.